but this is a bit of a different video. I just wanted to give everyone a little bit of an update on my N-scale layout, which is something a bit different, and hopefully you've all seen that in some of my Atomics, Bachman reviews and also videos. As I said, I've definitely got about 3 more kind of stories in my brain, but I haven't had time to convert them into an actual video. But as you can see, there's been quite a lot of stuff that I've actually done to this layout since we last saw it. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a show of it, just because I'm a super modeling noob. I know people like Trainboy says that he's a modeling noob, but I look at his stuff and I'm like, holy Moses, it's excellent, it's amazing. I'm not that good. So I'm the most newbie. I felt pretty special when I weathered this track here with a bit of paint, and you can see that I didn't quite get it right because I missed spots like there. So that's the extent of my creative and customization juices. But I did want to start with what I've done. So as you can kind of see, the track layout is one that I stole from a Mauchler magazine, which essentially is a loop that kind of loops over itself. What I did when I made this was a lot of testing with foam and cardboard and paper to check if the gradients were okay. And essentially the mistake I made is that this is the tightest radius of Atomics track that is available. And unfortunately that has problems not just for bogeyed wagons, so you can't run any bogeyed wagons on this layout. They can only be, as was essentially the plot of that previous Atomic story, is that I can't run my bogey rolling stock on this layout, which is unfortunate. But to be honest, it's a thing I just didn't think about. So that would be the first thing I would say when you're building a layout, think about that. But the second thing is that obviously there's quite a steep incline on this layout. It's about a 5% incline, which is a lot more than what they tell you should ever do on a model railway. Whoopsies. But again, I was just constrained with the space and kind of what I wanted to do. So what that just means is that obviously it's very steep, and it means that Percy is one example, the same as my pannier tank, which is a Dapol engine, which you can see over there. So it's a duck essentially. It has problems with traction as well. It means you can't pull more than 4 or 5 trucks up this hill, otherwise the engines stall. But essentially the reason for that is because I forgot my basic physics, which is that when engines go around corners, there's actually a lot more friction. So the thing I would, tips for noobs number 1 is consider the radius of the curves you're using in your layout, not just for will it fit, your engines, but particularly when you're doing it on curves. This one here is much better because you can see it's the wider radius curve, which means that there's a lot less friction, so the engines can pull more trucks up this hill, which is good. So anyway, that would be the first thing I would say. You can see that what I've done is added some water stuff to this section here. I kind of wanted it to be a river. It didn't really work. It doesn't really go anywhere. But you can see I added the water stuff, which actually looks all right. I was pretty impressed by how that turned out. It's just that I used the paint that they suggested to make it look like water, but I think you really probably need to add some more blue to that. It looks very kind of like dirty and brown. You can see the other thing I've done here since that last video is I put a retaining wall here, which is just a cardboard printed wall, which is what I wanted to do, and some stones to kind of fill it out. If you come up here to the top, you can see there's now a farm with a fence and a tractor in the yellow. I don't have any animals yet. I'm trying to get some, but the little minifigure things are so expensive, and I've been prioritizing getting my railway part of this layout complete before I do all the other stuff. You can see here we've got this street now, this road which comes in, we've got all these houses. You can see there's way too much rolling stock going on there. That's why there's some that's not on the track. That's okay, there's lots of rolling stock, that's good. I just used sandpaper, black sandpaper for the roads, which actually worked out okay. You obviously there's some seams, and I literally painted it just with my hands, so that's why the dots are a little bit, how you doing, but it is what it is. That is that part. You can see there's kind of like some more trees I've added here. If we come down on this side, you can see I've replaced the Atomics Farquhar station just because they're a bit too big, with a different kit. So I think it's the Gauge Master N-scale station kit from memory. So that's there instead, and I think that looks pretty nice. And I tried to paint it again. I painted it in some slightly brighter colors because otherwise all the Gauge Master ones are this. Like all the buildings are the same. They're this brown and the grey, and so I just wanted to make it something a bit different. So I painted it kind of that red and that kind of bright orangey colour. So you can see that's there. an really easy thing to do to add detail to your layout, this is modeling tip number 2, is to put stuff like trees, to put these little puff things in. They're like grass tufts, you just glue them down. And the third thing is that you can add things like these telegraph poles. These were awesome. I just got a whole bag of like 16 of them or something, or 20 of them, and you can just like glue them straight down with a bit of hot glue, like you can see there. So they're awesome ways to add some super cool detail. The other thing you might have noticed is I purchased some signals. So there's these ones which I bought, which I don't love because they came pre-assembled, but you can see that they're like very flat and squished. So they look nice, but they're very squished up. There are some better ones which I'll show on the other side of the layout that I bought from a Japanese store that I had to build, but they came pre-painted, so that was cool. Yep, this is a new signal box we've got here that came with the station set. You can see this is the siding, more of the trucks in there. I've got this now, which is a factory which I bought, which I don't really love. As you can see, it's kind of a bit, I put it together. I don't know what happened when I was putting it together. I was asleep or something. It's really badly put together. So it just is in the corner. I'll probably, to be honest, throw that one out. And I think that's the other thing you've got to do when you go on this process, is you're going to make a lot of mistakes, and that is something people say about a lot of these buildings and stuff. You know, I screw them up the first time, I don't really like them. I bought a bunch of stuff which I just haven't used, because I was like, actually, I don't like that anymore. Like, it's not going to fit in my layout. It looks really weird. So don't be afraid to just let it go. I think if you force, you have these ideas and you try and force them, you're going to hate them. So just let it go. Yep, maybe you spent $30 or $40 on, I was going to have a culvert here, like a little bridge thing. Didn't work out. I just covered it with rocks. So I was like, nah, too hard. So I would recommend doing that if you're struggling. And that's the same with, bits like this, right? Like you can see here, I didn't really know how to deal with this transition to the rock face. So it's just kind of cut grass. You can probably say like that. This was a weird cut that I made. You can see right here. So I've just been like, I'm going to cover it with trees. So you can't really see. So yeah, that's what the layout looks like from this side. Again, I'm pretty happy with it now, aside from just fitting in some figures and some cars I want to get some more of. But let's go around the other side and I can show you some of the other stuff I've been working on. So you can see this is what my layout looks like from the other side, and this is the kind of exciting side. So you can see you've got the main station that hasn't changed. I've added a little bit more details up in here. We've got this new signal box. This one, I really like this one. That's a really nice kit. I think that's a Pico kit, that one. Very nice, highly recommended. There you go, you can see the pannier tank pulling along the 4 Bachmann Annie Clarabelles that I showed in my other video how to strip the name off. So they're just generic branch line coaches. I would love to be talented enough to take them apart and paint them red, so I can have those kind of season 1 kind of red coaches. Obviously they're not exactly a match, but that would be really cool. I just don't know how to do it. I haven't worked out how to do it, and I'm a bit afraid of stuffing it up, especially just with the windows. I don't know how to avoid that problem. So one day I might work out how to do that, and we'll do that. You can see here I've got a couple of people now. They're little tiny, I've just blue tacked them on. There's some there, there's some people climbing and working here, and they add a whole lot of life to the layout. So I'm really excited to add a lot more people to it. The signals are awesome. So it's these ones, oh, you can't see them. They're all facing the wrong direction. It's these ones here. So they're a Japanese little kit, and they had a lot of pieces. You had to, each part was separate and you had to glue it all together. But the end result is really cool. And they also had ones, as you can see here, with the, if this is the back, even the back has the correct colors on it. If we just come around to this side, this is all freehand. There's no tripod. So you can see here, that's what that signal looks like, and that's a really cool looking little signal. So that looks really nice. Other little hacks, there's no level crossing pieces from Tomex as far as I'm aware, so I just made some with little pieces of cardboard that I cut out. So that's how we did that. Yeah, you can see I've got this water tower here. I don't know if that's going to stay here. I haven't glued a lot of the buildings down. The stations are glued down. But that's essentially, and the farm is glued, because obviously that makes sense with the fence that's there. But all the other houses, I haven't decided if they're going to stay there. I also kind of like the idea of having them, take them away so I can reconfigure the yard, particularly for some filming some YouTube videos. I can make it look like a different location by moving around all the buildings and stuff. So yeah, not a lot of things are glued down here. And then obviously we have the windmill here on the corner. I really like this grass part. I think it worked out really well. I'm annoyed I couldn't do it like around the side, just the way it all worked out. It didn't quite happen that way. That's okay. You can see here again what I actually used. Was going to film a construction video, but I forgot to do it, so that's good. there's big pieces of foam board that you can get. So essentially, this is a little piece of, this is a plywood board here at the bottom, and then I just glued and nailed this big piece of hard ceiling modeling foam as a block, and then I bought some hot wire cutters and cut it to the shape. So that's how you get these kind of smooth cuts, is I just kind of like drew a line and then like cut through it with a wire cutter, which was long and hard, but it meant you get really nice smooth lines. There's no like weird knife marks. And the last thing here, this isn't my favorite part, just the way this tunnel worked. I'm really proud of the tunnel. I'm really proud of how it looks, and again, this came white and I had to paint this myself, so I think I did a pretty good job, personally. But again, these sections where there's like the weird overlaps in the grass mat, not my favorite, but I don't really know what to do about them, so yeah, that would be my other, probably my final little modeling tip, is grass mats are awesome, except where you have to cut them. And again, you can see here, like some seams don't look too bad. This one looks okay. Some of them, as you can see, you get these weird lines here that looks really weird. So 10 out of 10, would recommend for your first layout to give a grass mat a go, but also you can see over here, like if you zoom in up here, you can see the weird lines. Oh, it's going out of focus, that's good. There's some weird lines and stuff going along here, which we don't super love, so yeah, I think if the trade-off is it's a whole lot easier. Again, you can see I bought 2 rolls and I've got heaps of it spare, which I can use for other things. But it's really cheap. And if you stuff it up, you can just rip it off and start again. But it does mean that you end up with some weird bits of it in some places. So that would be the thing I would just say for everyone to remember. But yeah, if you've got any questions about this, please let me know. I just thought I want to film this quick little video to show everyone this layout. Apologies again, it's all handheld because I just wanted to just have a bit of a chat about what I've been doing sometimes when I've been away from YouTube, apart from working almost full-time and also studying full-time, so that's fun. The joys of life, of adulting. And also, you know, unfortunately, these hobbies are not cheap. As I've already talked about, it's quite expensive. Even if, you know, we want to do an idea of how much it probably cost me to put this layout together, I think it's about $1,500. Not all at once, but if you wanted to include all of the materials, the fact that I had to buy like a drill, and I bought a heat gun and a glue gun, and I had to buy a toolkit, so I had all the different screws and nails and stuff, probably about $1,500 for all of that. And these kits, especially the N scale, are so expensive. So expensive, very hard to get, so you often have to import them from overseas. But yeah, one thing I will say while I've got this here, I don't plan on doing a full review. This Dapol padding and tank I think was 190 Australian dollars, and its pulling power and performance is worse than the Bachmann Thomas, which is obviously like a not realistic model. It's not trying to be a realistic model. It's kind of, you know, not a toy, but, you know, so it puts into perspective that the very realistic models actually don't perform as well as I'd kind of like them to. I've actually opened this up and put some lead putty inside its cab, so that way it's got a bit more traction. And as you'll see when it comes around this corner, even though it has, you know, 3 powered axles, you can see it kind of slips a little bit when it's coming up that hill with the 4 coaches, and Thomas doesn't slip at all. He just nails it. So I'm really curious to see how James and Toby perform on this layout, which are the next Bachmann N-scale engines which I have pre-ordered, and also the Okinawa, I think I've said that wrong, the Japanese Tomix Thomas that I've also pre-ordered, which should be arriving soon. They say it's not compatible. I read somewhere it's not compatible with the type radius curves. I don't know if that's just the coaches. They won't work, but I hope the engine's going to work on this layout, but I guess we'll find out. Alrighty guys, that's all for this little kind of update, little see inside video. Just want to give everyone a bit of a look at what I've been up to. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing, do those cool things you do on YouTube. I have plenty more reviews and stuff that I've ordered to review coming very, very soon. Thanks for watching. That's all I've got time for. It's XtremeTrainz.